5-out basketball, 5 segments, 5 takes. This is the podcast for NBA conversations. This is 5-out basketball, and it starts in 3, 2, 1.
Yeah.
We've shown a lot of love, which we like to do on the podcast. But Everton, what do we do best in this podcast?
Hate.
We love to hate here, so it's time to move on to hate. Because today, when we were recording this podcast, Darvin Ham is no longer employed. So we got to figure out what other coaches are on the hot seat. We're going to get into that in a second because we need to talk about Darvin Ham first.
Yes, we do.
And I have a hot take.
Let's hear it.
Overhated. Now, I'm not trying to say he's like a top 5, top 10 coach in the league.
No.
But Rob Pelinka gave him an absolute like bucket of shit and said, all right, figure it out. So Darvin Ham just had to keep throwing shit on the wall. Because like, here's the thing, like as we address for the big man situation, if AD needed to sit down, like be honest with me. What coach is going to figure out a lineup that's going to work when Anthony Davis needs a little bit to sit? Nothing was going to work there. And there's some schemes where I watched towards the end of the season where I was like, yeah, Darvin Ham knows what he's talking about. Like when they guard the Pelicans at first, like it didn't work in the second game because Zion just said, screw it. I'm just not going to listen to you. But in the first game, like the 82nd game of the season, they had LeBron guarding him in his face or like give him a little space for a mid-range. And then if Zion somehow got past LeBron, he had Anthony Davis waiting for him in the paint. It's a genius strategy and it worked out. But then Zion just said, screw you, AD. I don't care you're a defensive player caliber of the year. I'm just going to dunk on you anyway. So it's whatever.
Yeah.
And then against the Nuggets, they were attacking Jokic and they're doing great. I'm like, oh yeah, these are great schemes. But when you have a roster of like shit, what are you supposed to do? So I think Darvin Ham was kind of scapegoated. And I don't think, unless there's like major changes made this offseason, I still think we're going to see the same Lakers team because there's no coach is figuring out this Lakers shithole.
So I will say this. I do think he gets a lot of the blame when there should. First off, as an NBA fan, we need to start looking at these front offices.
No, actually.
Like everybody else gets
coach.
blamed. It's always the coach. Sometimes it'll be like that one player. Front offices just be getting no smoke sometimes. We need to start looking. For the Suns, James Jones, we need to start looking at you, bro.
Yeah. How are we looking at Frank Vogel before we're looking at James Jones?
That's what I'm saying. Look at that first. Because I'm going to address Frank Vogel later, but Darvin Ham, while I do agree Darvin Ham didn't get the best like makeup of a team because, okay, what are you going to do when your backcourt is going to be D'Lo and Austin Rivers? They're going to get cooked. Let's just be honest. They're going to get cooked by Jamal Murray.
Yeah.
What are you going to do when
Gabe
you're
Vincent off the bench, Cam Reddish, Jared Vanderbilt,
that's what I'm saying next.
Prince, Max Christie.
Right? What are you going to do with a roster makeup like that? But I will say, some of his rotations are really questionable. Now, I get what you're saying, true, because what are you going to do with the roster? But I have to look at you as a coach and say, why do you have LeBron, Cam Reddish, Vanderbilt, Taurean Prince, and Anthony Davis on the court right now? That shouldn't happen. As a coach, that shouldn't happen, right?
No.
So when you do stuff like that, I'm going to look at you like, brother, are you good? Like, you should never roll out a lineup like that, right? Cam Reddish should not be getting legit starter minutes. I know he didn't get any more after a while, but at one point, this man was a starter. Why?
Yeah.
Please do not make a mistake like that again. Taurean Prince. Bro, does Taurean Prince have dirt on Darvin Ham?
He definitely does.
Because how was he a starter? Was he a starter like the whole season?
Pretty much.
Like, that should not happen, right? Rui, I am mad at Rui. Why is Rui guarding Jokic? Now, partially it's because
some of those are switches, but
they are. But other thing is, and here's why I say front office, there's a little bit of smoke. Why are you giving Darvin Ham only AD, Christian Wood, and Jackson Hayes?
Yeah, what are you gonna do with that?
Like, because people are like, why is Rui guarding? Who else is gonna guard him? If AD can't play 48 minutes, like we said with Embiid, same thing with AD. You can't play the whole 48. So when AD goes on the bench, who are you gonna bring off the bench to guard Jokic? Like, there's nobody you could put in there that makes sense, you know? But then his three guard, he has this weird fantasy with 3 guard lineups that I'm just like, you need to stop doing that. My last thing, why are guards guarding MPJ? That
can't happen.
I can't. You cannot have Austin Reeves or D'Lo guarding MPJ when the dude is 6'10" and he jumps freaking 9 feet in the air to shoot the ball. He's not seeing those contests, bro. Like, he's catching, he's shooting. When he's already up here and they're trying to contest, he literally does not see those dudes. He does not see them. So I think I feel like he gets a lot of smoke when the front office should get a little bit of smoke too for the construction of this roster. But I do want to say his rotations are a little bit questionable. We can agree on that.
Yes, we can. Because there's something that I want to make clear.
Yeah.
I don't think Darvin Ham is the perfect coach. Like, there are so many scenarios where I'm like, oh, the Lakers can really use a timeout here, and he just refuses to call it.
The pockets.
Yeah. Hands in the pockets. I'm not gonna lie, I don't call him on that too much because like that's how I low-key be walking to class. Like sometimes I feel like I'm on my Darvin Ham method, so like I don't want to give him too much crap for it when I also do it. But like I just think Darvin Ham deserves some hate, but I think he just gets a little too much. I think I feel like he's going to get another opportunity this offseason because there's gonna be a lot of coaching changes.
Yeah.
And I'm wishing him the best because I think Darvin Ham can be a solid coach. But I don't want to spend too much time on Darvin Ham because we're going to talk about 5 coaches and we're going to figure out, are they on the hot seat? Are they definitely fired? Is it 50-50 or are they safe?
Yeah. Okay. You want me to start?
Yeah, so Everton has 3 Western coaches and I will have 2 Eastern coaches. So
Yeah.
Everton, let's start off.
I kept saying his name, so I might as well start with him first. Frank Vogel. Hot seat or not?
So before we get into this, how are we doing this? Are we doing like hot seat? Like, oh yeah, they're gonna get fired. Like, are we doing like a fired category, a hot seat category, a safe category? How are we doing this?
Yeah, I would say split it up into 3s. Like, he's for sure getting fired. He's in the hot seat. He's safe. I feel like those are, like you just said, I feel like those are the best way to break it up.
So if I were running the Suns, I would say he's safe, but realistically, he is on the hot seat. Let's be for real. Like, even though the team didn't make sense scheme wise, when you have 3 stars and you get embarrassed like that, your seat's gonna be hot just off that alone.
Yeah.
So that's why I would say he's on the hot seat. But like, I really like his schemes. I think he's a good personality. It's just when you're also doesn't help when your locker room doesn't take you seriously. So like, and some people don't realize about the NBA. Some people do realize this. The coach is always going to be the first for the scapegoat. So while the Suns may have just crapped the bed because of how the roster's built, why couldn't Frank Vogel figure it out? Because there's a reason that 26 other teams would want to be like this. So we just got to get a new coach.
Yeah.
So if we're being honest, I think Frank Vogel is on the hot seat. I just personally, in my opinion, do not think he should be.
All right. So while I agree with what you just said, and I think Frank Vogel is actually a good coach, and I think I'm gonna say he's a hot seat too. But here's my philosophy. This might be weird, so let me cook.
Go cook.
If they're gonna have this kind of a roster, it makes no sense to have Frank Vogel as their coach because
he's cooking.
Right? His whole thing is defense, right? And the simple fact that this team ended up being a top 15 defense is already commendable, right?
That's all him.
Right? That's him. But if you're going to continue to have rosters like these, it makes no sense to have Frank Vogel be your coach because you're giving him defenders to elevate to being defensively, or be like above average, right? Whereas in a different situation where he's on a team that has a lot of defense, like if give or take the Timberwolves, if he was on the Timberwolves, they'd be the number 1 defense because he's a defensive coach and they have defenders, right? And I think for the Suns specifically, if you're going to continue to roll out this roster, it makes no sense to have Frank Vogel as your coach because they don't have legitimately defenders to help his schemes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
To play to his strengths. That's my point. Like, I agree he's a good coach, and I think in most other situations you'd want him to be your coach. But for the Suns specific roster, it makes no sense to have him as your head coach.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, Everton, I think you just swayed me. But me personally, I would want to rebuild to fit what he wants. But if the Suns are this committed on like there's 26 other teams, I would rather not want to have this roster. So I think Frank Vogel's going to be the scapegoat, odd man out.
Yeah.
So he's definitely on the hot seat. I think we can agree on that.
Yeah.
So now we're going to go to the East.
All right.
And this is probably going to be the most interesting one because this team's in a really weird scenario when it comes to coaches. We got to talk about Doc Rivers. How could we not?
Yeah.
I know he only had a short time to work with. And the Bucks, if they were to fire him, would have 3 coaches that are going to be on payroll. What do the Bucks do? Where is Doc Rivers? Is his seat safe? Is it hot? Or is he gone?
Honestly, hot take, I think he's safe. The reason why I say this, right? I've noticed in the past, no matter what Doc Rivers does wrong, these teams be giving him like 3 years before they say, all right, he's got to go. Right?
Uh-huh.
Like literally every single time. With the Clippers, they watch this man. Now, I'll cut him some slack. Some of those times they choked. I don't know if I can fully blame him more than just, bro, what happened to Kawhi and PG in the bubble? Right? Like,
Yeah.
you know, but with Doc, a lot of these teams be giving Doc like multiple years to like figure it out. And I feel like in their situation, it's like you can't just keep changing voices in the locker room. You start off with Andrew Griffin. He was doing pretty good, but whatever. You lose him. All right, you got Doc Rivers to replace him. You can't just keep, oh, we'll just recycle. Again, for people who don't know, this is not 2K where you could just fire him. We'll get a new coach. It's not that simple. It's not that simple. Um, so yeah, I think he's safe from the fact that I feel like they won't fire him because teams just give him longer than most of, like some coaches get 1 year and it's like Doc Rivers, it's like you want to chip with the Celtics, so I feel like we should give you 2 more years.
Yeah.
Like, so the smart idea would be to one, consider what candidates are available before you just quick trigger fire him. Because if there's nobody out there that you feel like could really move the needle for you, then what's the point in adding another coach to your payroll? Right?
Mhm.
So I feel like they got to consider that first and then evaluate. But realistically, I think he's safe because they're not gonna fire him already.
Yeah, so I do have him on the hot seat.
Mhm.
I think they're gonna be on their Watford method where it's like, yeah, well, let's have 14 coaches in like 4 years, call it a day.
Yeah.
So it's just like the reason why I think he could be safe is just like you can play the blame the injuries,
Mhm.
but it's just with my own eyes, I've just saw how much worse this team got with Doc Rivers.
Yeah.
And I know it's kind of a short game, like sample size of like 40 games, but you just gotta watch this 40 games and be like, this just is not the answer.
Mm-mm.
And as we talked about earlier, the Bucks are probably have no choice but to run this team back. You gotta make some sort of change. And if you're not gonna move on from players, I feel like that has to be the coach. And Doc Rivers is so bad, man. It's so bad.
Like I said, I agree. If I were them, I would
Mhm.
look to make a change. But I'm thinking realistically, these teams always give him multiple years. They literally always let him get all like at least 2 or 3 years with the roster
He
before they
can't keep
just.
getting away with
But
this.
literally, he can't. Like I don't know how he keeps doing it, but they literally always give this man multiple years. So that's why I think he's safe. But realistically, yeah, he should be on the hot seat. What
So
the
do you
hell?
think he gives like really good like back massages? Like, what do you think his secret is?
Hey,
And
we
dude,
saw
his
Drake.
his gift baskets must be nuts.
Something he got something up his sleeve that's just keep giving him multiple chances, but I don't know what it is, bro. I don't know what it is, man.
Well, what I want to know is what's your next coach, Everton?
My next coach is Chauncey Billups,
This one's so tough, man.
right?
Because
But can I
it's
actually,
similar to the Doc Rivers issue.
yeah, actually, I'm gonna say something for my last coach, so I'll wait actually. But go ahead. What's your Chauncey? What do you think about Chauncey Billups?
Oh, I may have just committed accidental racism. I mixed up my coaches. I thought you meant Monty Williams. My fault. Chauncey Billups, you got to go.
Okay.
That Portland team was a joke. Like I
Mhm.
know they didn't have the best roster build of all time, but I was talking about the Heat having no schemes. Portland had nothing offensively. They had nothing defense. They just played scrimmage for 82 games, and Chauncey Billups did nothing about that. His rotations were whack with the guards. He didn't know how he wanted to do any rotation. How we talking about Darvin Hams? If the Portland Trailblazers weren't so irrelevant, Chauncey Billups would be getting the Darvin Hams. That team was awful, and like I don't even know how much more. Like Everton, can you give me a pro for what Chauncey Billups did this season?
He won a championship in 2004.
We're not getting on the '07 Celtics method right now. We are not doing this.
No, honestly, I don't even know.
Yeah,
Like,
because not all players deserve to be a coach. JJ Redick.
ooh, yo, well, don't get me started on that. Don't get me started on that.
Yeah. So it's not working. Some coaches, like some great players, aren't always great coaches.
Let
Steven
me say this now.
Gerrard, Frank
Actually,
Lampard. What's up?
let
What's
me
up?
say this. And I was talking to Alex and Kaysen about this earlier. It's not a
Nightmare blunt rotation.
it's it's I love those guys. It's not a perfect science. Just because you were a good NBA player does not mean you're a good coach,
Exactly.
right? Steve Nash, phenomenal NBA player,
Mm.
one of the better NBA minds. As a head coach, come on, right?
Jason Kidd,
And he's not even going to be on this list. I'm
which is
sorry,
crazy.
but he's not going to be right. But it's never that perfect. And JJ Redick, I think it'll be the same thing. Like,
Yeah.
sure, he's shown. Oh, I have a great basketball mind. Yeah, we can tell, bro. We see it.
Mm.
But one, he gives off this vibe that I feel like if NBA, if other like the players he's coaching don't get it fully, he's gonna be mad as hell.
Yeah.
He's gonna be like pissed all the time about it.
Mm.
And as a coach, you gotta reason with your guys, right? That's one. Two, it ain't always, bro, just because you can, flex your basketball knowledge 24/7, that doesn't mean you'd be a phenomenal coach. Like
Mm.
that's just it's never that perfect. If you've noticed, the best coaches are always either some rando who didn't play basketball, not rando, but like you know what I'm saying, like he didn't
Yeah.
hoop, or he was just a bad player. Like
Yeah.
Phil Jackson, he was
Mhm.
bad in the league.
Yeah.
One of the greatest coaches ever, if not the, right?
Mhm.
Did Greg Popovich hoop?
Barely.
Right? Greatest coach of all time, arguably, right?
Yes.
Eric Spoelstra
Did not hoop.
did not hoop. Video guy, one of the greatest coaches ever,
Uh,
right? Like a lot of the greatest coaches
Michael
ever,
Stauffer.
my, Jacob Underwood. But no, like really though, like a lot of the great coaches, they weren't like phenomenal basketball players, but they're just really good at coaching. You know what I'm
Mm.
saying? And that's a skill. Like being good, just because you know a lot about basketball doesn't mean you're going to be a great coach. Because there's a skill in coaching.
Yeah.
So all in all, Chauncey Billups, you had a great career, bro. Nah, man.
Yeah.
Because you said hot seat or fired. You said fired, right?
I just said fire, not even hot seat.
And I agree as well. I get it. The Blazers weren't even going to be good. Like realistically, weren't going to be good this year, anyways.
Yeah,
But
but this bad?
that, like, I didn't expect them to have a worse record than the Spurs. Like, I thought the Spurs were clear cut going to be the 15th seed, and this Blazers found a way to be worse than them, right?
Mm.
And I think he hasn't proven anything for me to feel like he's going to be a good coach. You know what I'm saying? Like, he hasn't shown anywhere. I'm like, well, you know what? Give him some time. No, this ain't Arsenal where I got to trust the process and it'll
Yeah.
eventually pay off with the coach. No, brother, let it go. Get a new coach, get a new voice. Your team on paper isn't like garbage. Like you look at the names, you got some solid players, unless you make some moves, but whatever.
Yeah.
You got some solid players. Let it go. Chauncey
I
Billups is
agree.
not the guy for the job. Unless I get proven wrong and bro ends up being whatever, but he's not the guy for the job. I don't
Yeah.
think so.
Like a guy with a receding hairline was still hoping for the best. Let it go. It's done.
It's done, bro.
Speaking of potentially letting it go, I think as a Bulls fan, it was obvious I was going to pull this one out.
Yeah, I already saw it coming.
Let's talk Billy Donovan. Billy Donovan, he's been a Bulls coach for 4 years. 39 of 43, no playoffs. 40 and 42, no playoffs. 46-36, round one exit in 5 games, and 31 and 41. Do I need to convince you that Billy Donovan should be fired?
No, you
Do you have
literally
a, do you
don't.
have an argument for why he should be? No, Everton. Argue this bullshit take for me real quick.
Damn it. Why did you do this? Okay.
Why should the Bulls keep Billy Donovan Everton? I heard you talking about that the other day.
Okay. The Bulls should keep Billy Donovan because I'm an OKC Thunder fan and he used to coach my team too.
Dude,
No,
he
okay.
won back-to-back national championships with Florida.
With Florida. Exactly. No, but no, realistically, if they were gonna keep him, they're just trying to do the continuity thing. That's literally the only reason why you keep Billy Donovan, because they want to keep the continuity thing. But for the love of God, Bulls, stop with it. You need to change up, do a whole revamp.
Literally trade everybody. And my thing
Except
is
Kobe
like,
White.
except Kobe White, except Io.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, no, him too.
if you're gonna do continuity with the players, you have to at least change the coaching. Because Billy Donovan, like, dude, we talk about Darvin Ham putting his hands in his pockets. If I watch that fucker chew a piece of gum one more time, I'm gonna lose my mind. Dude, he be chomping on the sidelines, and no one says a thing. It's ridiculous. And it's just no schemes. It's literally just, all right, DeMar, just do what you need to do in the fourth quarter. If we win, we win. If we lose, we lose.
Yeah,
Refuses to
literally.
call out, dude. Like Zach LaVine walked on Billy Donovan and literally mildly walked on him. It was embarrassing. He has no control of the locker room. He has no schemes. He's just there to brown nose and kiss ass. So maybe he's a good ass kisser. Maybe that's why he would be back. Like AK's like, you know what? You're gonna tell me tell me the Bulls have a championship opportunity, Billy.
That
And
was crazy.
that's why AK is gonna be, or that's why Billy's gonna be back.
Yeah, I
But
don't.
it's just
If they're
there should not be a
smart,
single argument that he
if
should
they're
resign.
smart, fire him. You kind of have to do that. But you know, I hate to say it to you, Joey. Are they always smart?
Hell no. Hell
Unfortunately.
no.
Unfortunately. I mean, look, they had Jim Boylan as a coach at one point. My fault.
Don't
But
give me nom flashbacks right now.
the, but no, realistically, to answer the question, no, you got to get rid of Billy Donovan. We've already done a Bulls breakdown. If you want to check it out, it was in
Yeah.
a past episode. Um,
I
Sam
may have
Cassell?
vented a little bit.
Sam Cassell?
What's up? What's up?
Sam Cassell?
Dude,
I don't know.
chill.
My fault.
Chill. Dude, I would be so hyped. But yeah, hopefully Billy Donovan's out of here. Next coach. We don't need to spend too much time on that loser.
Okay. For my last coach, and I wanna say a whole thing so you understand why I picked him and not maybe somebody else. It's Steve Kerr, by the way, but I'm gonna tell you a whole list on why I didn't pick other coaches. One, I already said the Blazers, so got that out the way. Billups is on here. Popovich is not getting fired. No matter
No.
what, the Spurs do
He
not
could go
have
0
the.
for 82 and he's still running it back.
They're not firing that man. He leaves on his own accord. Let's just get
Yeah.
that out the way. Who's the 13th seed? The Grizzlies. Taylor Jenkins, his job is safe because honestly,
He still made the most out of what he had.
he did. Like other seasons, he's made them a 50-win team. This year, he had 8 players. Like, no, I'm not going to blame him for how the season went. He's shown in the past that he's a good coach. He's safe, right? The Jazz coach, Will Hardy. I think he's the youngest coach in the league. I think there's not much you could say wrong with him.
We
But
also
honestly,
we ain't watched the Utah Jazz.
that's what I was gonna say.
We
Honestly,
don't know if he should be fired.
I didn't pick him because I'm like, I honestly don't care. Like, what were we gonna sit here and talk about when it comes to Will Hardy on the Jazz, bro?
Nothing.
Nothing. So I'm like, we'll just not talk about him anyways.
Yeah.
Ime Udoka, you're safe.
That
You are
team's
safe.
cooking. Yeah.
You're safe.
Yeah.
Trust, you're safe. I just mentioned Steve Kerr. He's the pick, but we'll get to that. Mike Brown of the Kings. I think he's relatively safe. Like,
yeah.
he brought the Kings back to a playoff team. He made them a playoff team this year. I think if the roster approves, he'll help them be, better. I think the only thing I'll say is, how did you go from the best offense to,
Yeah.
But I don't think he's in like a hot seat yet. I think it's too early to say he's in a hot seat because
I
they
would
still
agree.
were legitimately good this year, right? The Pelicans. I think Willie Green has done a great job for the
Green's
hands he's been
I
dealt.
thought he was a coach of the year contender at one point.
Me too, right? I think he's done a phenomenal job. He's safe, completely safe. Darvin Ham got fired, so no point in talking about him. Frank Vogel, we mentioned him earlier already, so whatever. Jason Kidd, he's safe. I know
It pisses me off so
realistically,
much.
But at the end of the day, the man is safe. Like,
I almost
safe.
want the Clippers to come back just for that reason.
He's safe. At the end of the day, he's safe. And then Tyronn Lue, he's safe as well. Like, for what he's done for the Clippers, no matter what the situation is, he's always found a way for them to be like, at least somewhat decent, no matter how many games his dudes play.
Yeah, he's an incredible coach.
If he's arguably top 3, right?
Yeah.
He's safe as well. So there's no point in talking about Tyronn. I know people, he might be the next Lakers coach. Shut up. It's not happening. Stop.
Take your JJ Redick, loser.
Like, no. But he's safe. And then the top 3 coaches, you think they're going to fire Mark Malone? Get out of here. They're not firing that man. Chris Finch, your job is safe. You're good. Mark Dangle, your job is safe. You're good.
Yeah.
So when I looked at all of those things, I'm like, it got to be Steve Kerr, right? So all in all.
And we're not going to talk about like the Warriors not having the most underwhelming season of the year. Always expected to be a Western Conference final contender, and they couldn't even make the play-in or like just lost first round of the play-in. And what didn't go right for the Warriors what went right for the Warriors this season? Your young guys weren't getting minutes. Klay Thompson was screwing you over. Andrew Wiggins was screwing you over. Like, everything that could have went wrong. How much of blame do you put on Steve Kerr?
I put a decent, because okay, look, you can't control Draymond being crash out player of the year, right? You can't control Klay putting up tour dates, sure. You can't control Andrew Wiggins going through what he's going through. I'm not going to dog on him. But what you can't control is giving players minutes. As a head coach, you are the one that makes the rotation.
Yes.
Why did it take that long for Kuminga to start getting minutes? Because literally when he got the minutes, he started playing way better. Like he was playing really good. Why did it take that long? Why every time Moses Moody looks good, you're like, "He looks good. Get him out the game. Stop doing that." And why, like all of the young players they had when they got legitimate minutes were actually playing up to par. Why did it take that long for you to realize that? And why were you still so pushy about it? Give them minutes. Why is it that hard?
The power of friendship when the Warriors won those 2 rings, bro, is special, man.
It like, come on, spare me. Like, why are these guys? Look, I get it. Clay's your guy, bro. You need to start taking minutes. I mean, I know he benched him at one point, but that didn't stay long.
Yeah.
He got started back. He's got a starter job right away. Like, and a guy like Pods, who I think has been one of the most steady rookies this season, started putting his minutes down. Like, all in all, Steve Kerr, you got to stop being so weird with your young players. Give them minutes before they say, I'm getting – because Kuminga basically threatened to get out of there, basically. Like, he was like, yo, if you don't start playing me, bro, get me out of here, bro. Like, simple as that. So, I don't know if those Warriors have the balls to fire Steve Kerr.
That's literally what I was just about to ask. Like, we talk about Greg Popovich. Like, I know Popovich is higher up on the rankings than Kerr. Yeah. Is it kind of where Steve Kerr gets to leave on his terms? Or, like, do the Warriors be like, yeah, we can't put up with this? Because Stephen Curry wants to win at any way possible. Is that way getting rid of Kerr is his seat hot?
And that's the part. That's the reason why I wasn't sure how I felt about. But like I just mapped out with every other coach, it's kind of like, like they're all pretty much safe outside of like the guys I have on this list or the dude who literally got fired today.
Yeah.
So when it comes to Steve Kerr, he's kind of the only other person I was like worth this like literally discussing because realistically he should be on the hot seat. But are the Warriors gonna do that? No. The hell? No. They're gonna keep him.
Yeah, I feel the same exact way.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's a tough one, but he's safe.
There's some coaches that should be on the hot seat, but they just might avoid it just because politics.
Or not politics, literally politics.
It's not aura. You got me fucked up. You think Steve
I almost said aura. Yeah,
got some aura.
I did almost say aura. I apologize. Yeah, I almost said aura. Oh my
these
goodness,
kids are saying anything these days.
Oh man, yeah, I almost said aura. Hey, no, that's a tangent. I won't say that, but yeah, politics.
Everton.
Thank you so much for tuning into this segment of the 5 Out Podcast. I am Joey LeMaster, and me and Everton are so thankful for your guys' support. If you want to keep supporting us, please check out the full podcast on Spotify and follow our TikTok account. Both of those will be in the bio, and make sure to leave a like and stay smooth.